Welcome to Wisconsin DNR's Wild Wisconsin Off the Record podcast. Information straight from the source.
Welcome back to another episode of Wild Wisconsin Off the Record, where we bring you inside voices on Wisconsin's outdoors. I'm your host, DNR's digital media coordinator, Katie Grant. Today's episode is about a very famous bear.
Smokey Bear, Smokey Bear, Smokey Bear, Smokey Bear. Wildfires are dangerous, and so it's up to us to be aware and prepare. Because we care, Smokey Bear. We're gonna lend a hand to Smokey Bear.
Yep, only you can prevent wildfires. Smokey Bear is who we are talking about today. Now, before we go any further, we want to give a fair spoiler warning. We will be revealing some Smokey secrets in this episode. So if you are listening with kiddos, we want to give you a chance to either pause this and come back to it later or kick the kids out of the room, whatever it may be. But we don't want them having Smokey spoiled for them. So Smokey secrets are coming. Are you ready? All right, back to the episode. Here at the DNR, we think Smokey Bear is a pretty special guy. You see his face in a lot of places when you walk around our offices. Even in Secretary-designee Preston Koele's office.
Picture of Smokey in my office, and I was also Smokey for Smokey and the Pros when I worked for the Missouri Department of Conservation. I actually wore the Smokeys suit.
How many times have you worn Smokey's suit?
Once.
Just the one time?
Just the one time, and it was a event with the U.S. Forest Service and Major League Baseball to promote, safe, talk about wildfires and how they start and putting your campfires out and those types of things. And so the following year, I was Smokey's handler. And when you're Smokey, and in St. Louis when it's, 99 degrees and humid, you have to walk around that stadium with that big suit on. They give you these ice packs underneath.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, I walked around and greeted so many families and children. I smiled inside that suit beyond belief. I mean,
you couldn't help but smile.
It was my greatest experience to date. And so Smokey and the Pros is my entree into, how we, again, engage with the public, all we have to offer about, forest fire protection. So that's my Smokey story.
Getting into the Smokey suit and becoming him is a rite of passage for foresters in Wisconsin and really across the country. Okay, so you're thinking, Wisconsin's had a lot of rain lately. Wildfire season is really at its peak in Wisconsin in May. Fire danger must be low right now, so why are we talking about Smokey? Well, America's favorite wildfire fighting bear has a very special birthday coming up. He turns 75 on August 9th. I sat down with Koele and Sara Pearson to learn a bit more about the history of Smokey and his really unique connection to Wisconsin. So sit back and listen in. We're here today with Koele and Sara Pearson. Welcome, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about what you do for the DNR.
Okay, this is Sara Pearson. I am the Forest Recreation Superintendent on the Northern Highland American Legion State Forest, which is up in Oneida, Vilas, and Iron counties. So anything recreation on the state forest comes to me. So the camping, the trails, the boat landings, all the good recreation stuff.
Fantastic. Catherine?
So I'm Koele. I'm the Wildfire Prevention Specialist for the state of Wisconsin, and I work out of the Woodruff office, very close to Sara, so she's just down the hall.
Just down the hall.
And my primary job is I have a lot of diversity, so I range from managing our burning permit system to handling public relations when it comes to wildfire season, as well as Smokey Bear.
Fantastic. First of all, thank you guys for coming into the studio today. I know it was a bit of a drive for you.
No, we're happy to be here.
But I'd love to talk about a very special bear's 75th birthday. So for anyone who hasn't heard yet, back on August 9th, 1944, if I could talk this morning, Smokey Bear was born. So the name is Smokey Bear, not Smokey the Bear, right?
Absolutely. It's a common misconception. So let's clear it up right off the bat.
Yeah.
So his official name is Smokey Bear, not Smokey the Bear. The article "the" came from a song that was written in the 50s.
With a ranger's hat and shovel and a pair of dungarees, you will find him in the forest, always sniffing at the breeze. People stop and pay attention when he tells them to beware, 'cause everybody knows that he's the fire-preventing bear. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing in the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name.
It's created a lot of misconceptions out there. So it's not Mickey the Mouse. It's not Santa the Claus. It's Smokey Bear.
Smokey Bear.
Yes.
All right. So glad we got that out of the way right away. Can you guys tell us a little bit about how Smokey came to be?
Yeah. So, he started kind of the post-World War II era. Back in the 40s, there was the threat of the timber industry. A lot of our folks were fighting in the war, and resources were limited. And the government felt like it was important to have a fire prevention, a public relations fire prevention effort. There were a lot of fires threatening the timber industry. Very destructive fires that, they didn't have like the aircraft and everything that we see today, and the suppression resources and the management of our lands to help, combat those fires. So it really became, a public relations effort because most of these fires were caused by people. So it actually started with a Walt Disney image of Bambi in 1943. So that was the first real fire prevention image. But then in 1944, an artist named Albert Staley created the actual image of Smokey Bear in a painting.
All right. And there was a real Smokey Bear at one point, right?
Yes. So there was an actual Smokey Bear in the Capitan Mountains in New Mexico who was captured in a tree, and his paws were burned. He was a little bear cub, and he was captured by a ranger on the forest there, and who nursed him back to health. And they, his Hotfoot Teddy is what they called him, but then they eventually, because of the image by Albert Staley, they kind of made him the actual Smokey Bear, and that's where the real one lived. And he was eventually moved to a Washington, D.C. zoo where people could come and meet Smokey in person, and he lived there until his death.
Fantastic. How has Smokey's message changed over the years?
That's a great question. I think there has been so much success with Smokey over the years because he has had such longevity. He's not selling a product. He's tied to just education and outdoors and recreation and personal responsibility. And I think the beauty of Smokey is that he resonates with children and adults even today. And I think that's what's so unique. His image has slightly changed a little bit over time. He was in paintings, and then it morphed. There was a little cartoon era, I think in the 80s and 90s, and then in 2000 there was 2000s there were some computer animated Smokies, and now there's just different forms of him. So there's a lot of graphics and things. So I think that the overall intent of him hasn't changed. We've seen slight differences in the look of him, but overall, I think he stood the test of time. And the only you can prevent forest fires, which is another misconception, that changed in 2001 to only you can prevent wildfires. And the importance there is to show the difference between good fire and bad fire, that there is good fire that's good for the landscape, and to differentiate between those human-caused fires and the ones that are important for the landscape.
For sure. I think you mentioned that, Smokey is something someone that everyone can connect with. And you gave me some Smokey Bear swag, and I gave it to my family, and everyone was so stoked for it. It didn't matter how old they were. Everyone was like, oh my God, yes, Smokey swag. Like, this is fantastic. So I think that's part of his staying power, is that everyone loves him.
Yeah, he's got some charm. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Smoky's history here in Wisconsin, because we have some kind of cool connections to him, right?
Yeah, in 1950, actually, Wisconsin is coined for having the first actual Smokey Bear costume. And it was created in Mercer, and it's currently on display at the Mercer Library. So it's a really unique piece of history tied to Smokey. It debuted at the Logging Congress Parade in Hayward, and it was made out of a real bear suit. So can you imagine having to wear that thing on the 4th of July parade, an actual like bear hide? So we've come a long way. We've gone more synthetic today, with cooling vests and fans and the hat and stuff. But we've definitely, that's our claim to fame, is having the actual first Smokey Bear suit.
I've heard that there is some debate over whether it was us or Virginia to make the first one. You're sticking with it being Wisconsin.
Yes, and I did get the nod from Virginia, West Virginia, I believe, and that they actually relinquished the throne to us, and it is officially documented now that Wisconsin had the first suit.
All right, we'll take it. We'll take it. So over the years, there have been some other symbols of fire safety throughout the state. Can you tell us a little bit about Torchy Timberlaws?
Torchy Timberlaws, that's a great question. So, Torchy was kind of an image that came up, I believe it was in the 60s, maybe even earlier than that, but it's a little kind of cartoon flame. It was a badge of honor for our wildland firefighters, and it became kind of the unofficial mascot for the wildland firefighting community in Wisconsin back when the Department of Conservation was here. And you'll still see him kind of on hard hats and on old lockers and things like that, patches. So he's definitely and they used to use him for public relations ads as well in conjunction with Smokey. So that is a unique image here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. I have some Smokey Bear fun facts. You ruined a couple of them already. But let's see here. In 1965, the volume of mail that Smokey Bear received was so high that he earned his own zip code.
That's correct. And I believe it's still in operation.
Yep.
From what I understand, if you write a letter to the Smokeys Zip Code, you may or may not get a response back, because it depends on, if they can keep up with the responses. But I have heard that if classrooms do a joint effort and write, they will get something back in return. So it is still operational, but I don't know if they're able to stay up on top of the workload. So.
Yeah. I found it very interesting that presidents are the only other people to have their own zip codes.
That's correct.
Pretty unique.
Yeah.
Let's see. Smokeys Name is a tribute to a legendary New York firefighter, Smokey Joe Martin, who went blind and suffered many burns after a 1922 fire rescue. Have you ever heard that one?
I have heard that, but I don't know much about the history of him.
Of the name.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we all know that Smokey Bear can't talk when you see him in real life.
That's correct.
But on TV, he's been most recently voiced by Sam Elliott.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Who actually has the same exact birthday as Smokey Bear.
Yes.
He has a lovely voice.
He does. And last, Smokey Bear has his own Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I've been seeing a lot of great posts lately. With the 75th happening right now, there's been a lot of activity, a lot of events. He was doing some advertisements with Al Roker.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report.
He was on the Today Show just this week, and all that stuff's being shown or highlighted on the Facebook page. So follow Smokey Bear on Facebook.
Yeah. In addition to us, obviously.
Of course.
Obviously. All right. Are there any Smokey Bear myths that you would like to bust?
I think the biggest one is the name, Smokey the Bear. And I think that's the biggest thing that I hear all the time.
Was there ever a Mrs. Smokey Bear?
That is a good question. There was a rumor of Goldie Bear.
Yes, I read about that this
morning. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I don't know if it was at the zoo. I might be making this up.
I think from what I read,
the
it
zoo?
was at the zoo, and the article I read said that Smokey kind of friend zoned her.
Yes.
And didn't really want anything to do with her.
I think that's what I've heard. Yeah. Well, how about this? How about the fact that when you're in the Smokey Bear suit, it's kind of interesting. So it's kind of a rite of passage for a lot of our field foresters, because we have, Smokey around the state, and there's, because I've heard people say, we don't see Smokey that much anymore. And, we still have him out there, at different parades and things. We have 60 suits across Wisconsin. He's still out there. He's just coming in different forms, in social media and things and parades. And we still bring him into the classroom. You don't want to debunk that he's not around. He's still around. He's just coming in different forms. So.
All right. So that's a good transition into how many times has each of you been Smokey?
Sarah, you've never.
Yeah, it's going to be 0. I've never been
Really?
Smokey. Yeah.
I
no.
thought I had heard that you were.
No, that's a myth.
That's a myth. All right. Well.
No, I have not. I've helped Smokey. I wasn't his handler, but I've helped, move things for him. But no, I've never been Smokey. And I don't know that I want to be Smokey.
Oh, come on. Where's your sense of adventure?
I was going to say, I feel like this is a call for you need to get her in the Smokey
No,
costume.
I'll be busy that day.
I've been in the suit many times. I think, as I mentioned earlier, it's a rite of passage for a lot of our foresters, and it should be on everybody's bucket list to be in the suit before, if you're in this business. So it is interesting. You can't see a whole lot. You can't see your feet. And you can only see about 90 degrees left or right, kind of a swath. So Smokey always has a handler, somebody to help him, because sometimes children will run up to you and grab you and, squeeze you and stuff, squeeze your legs, give you a big hug. So sometimes you don't know, or it'll come up behind you. You can't see around you very well. So it's fun. It's unique, and I love it.
Yeah.
Except when it's hot out.
I can imagine that it would be a little rough with that.
It's a great diet plan. I'll say that much.
I think that's what turns me off, is every time I see them come out when it's hot, they're dripping and it kind of looks miserable.
So it's 2019. Can't we get something that makes it a little more comfortable? It has like a little fan in it, right?
It does have a fan in the hat now, which really just circulates hot air. So let's be real. But then they do have these cool vests, which actually make a big difference. Mm-hmm. So worth the investment, the cool vest.
Absolutely. We have the connection to Smokey here in Wisconsin, but how does it connect, for example, to the state park that you help with?
Sure. So we have a couple of different ways. So coming up, just something campers can do anytime, little kids, is we have Smokey backpacks. So you can check them out at your local state park or forest office, and it's just a little adventure pack that they can go, and there's activities in it. It's a cute little backpack. There's a little stuffed Smokey in there, so camping with Smokey. Something that we have coming up this summer is his birthday party. And so up on the Northern Highland American Legion State Forest for the past, I don't even know when it started, we've been having a birthday party for him. And so his birthday is on August 9th. And so this year we'll be having a birthday party for him at our nature center starting at 1 p.m. So how it works is Smokey's there in attendance, and we read his story, and we sing him happy birthday, and then we eat some delicious cake and get a chance to do photo ops and talk with Smokey, hug Smokey, whatever the kids want to do. And it's really popular with us.
How else are we helping Smokey celebrate this year?
There are a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of events going on around the state at the other state parks and state forests. Maybe Sarah, do you want to touch on that quick?
On Saturday, August 10th, I know a number of other state parks are going to have birthday parties. So Buckhorn State Park, Rocha Cree State Park, Flambeau River State Forest, Koele Mirror Lake State Park and the Pike Lake unit of the Kettle Moraine are all having birthday parties. And just one other thing I'll plug up for us is we're doing Smokey's Epic Scavenger Hunt the weekend of his birthday. So Friday through Sunday, it's a scavenger hunt for all ages, all adventure groups. So even if you're a family with little kids or you're a 25-year-old dude who likes to rock climb, we've got a scavenger hunt for you. It's going on all weekend up by us.
Well, now I want to come up north.
Yeah, you need to come up north.
Well, I will be busy with another Smokey event happening at State Fair.
Yes. So it sounds like Smokey's going to be doing an appearance at a party at the State Fair. It sounds like there's going to be maybe some goodies and activities in conjunction with Smokey's Schoolhouse that's going to be operational again this year. So really excited about that. Smokey Schoolhouse will be there every day throughout the State Fair. But so come on down and check it out.
Come out on the 9th and wish Smokey a happy birthday.
Yeah.
What, you're doing another cool partnership to help celebrate all year. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we partnered with this really great organization. It's a nonprofit called Box of Balloons, and their mission is to provide birthday boxes to underprivileged children throughout Wisconsin, and they have several chapters across the state. And we entered into an agreement with them. We thought, what a neat way to give back to local communities and kids and really maybe, make an impact and inspire a child. And so what we did was we put together 200 birthday boxes. They're all camping and recreation themed. And social workers across the state can order these boxes. And if it makes sense to do so, Smokey can deliver the boxes to the children and have a little birthday party and learn a little bit about fire prevention, do an activity, and then go home with some Smokey swag. Really unique, really fun project. Our local foresters are getting involved. We've had several already this year, and we're hoping to do more. So if you're interested, go to boxofballoons.org and think about nominating a child.
Yeah. What else do we need to know about Smokey?
Smokey, let's see. I think, this year, so he's nationally, we're going to see a lot more of him, I think, this year. I know he's going to be at the local parades. We're trying to get him out there as much as possible. But he has stood the test of time, and I think, he's going to be here.
Right, and the message is definitely still relevant today, or as relevant today as it was 75 years ago.
Absolutely. I mean, 98% of our fires in Wisconsin are caused by people. So that means that 98% of the fires that we have here in Wisconsin can be prevented.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. Obviously, we all love Smokey in this room, and I think a lot of Wisconsin does. He is so well recognized. So take an opportunity to wish Smokey a happy birthday this year. I mean, 75 is pretty huge. Come out to one of our events, maybe send him a birthday card, find some Smokey swag somewhere.
Teach your kids. Tell your kids about Smokey, and the history there. I think there's a lot, and a lot of the older generation can reflect on, his image and his message.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Listen to Smokey before you give it a try.
Only you.
Don't play with matches, don't play with fire. Cause there's another very funny one, brings down another very nice holy smile. So if a gorgeous forest is what you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Fire.